welcome back for another episode of Hidden Gems. This is the video series where I talk about those books that are just kind of underappreciated, undervalued, sometimes forgotten about things that may or might not be hidden in those back issue boxes at your shop. While I say some of them might be undervalued, some of them are actually very valuable, but you just might not be aware of them. Hence the term hidden gems. I know I've played around with this topic in this series for a while now. I'm going to go back to an old school four category episode. So no last to know, no interconnecting, interlocking cover lover or anything like that. Old school, regular old hidden gems. Going to give you a few topics and a few books that you should go and dig for when you're out there hitting those boxes because they might be worth a little bit more than you are expecting. Now, with that said, hopefully you're still enjoying this series as well as everything else here on the channel. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel. And if you want to see what books I got for you this week, all you got to do is hang on for a few seconds after the intro and I will be right back. All right, so as I said, we're going old school, going back to our categories and category cards, and we are going to start off this week with some video game books. So these are going to be some comics that are based off of video game properties. Mainly this week, we're actually only going to look at one, but the video game we're going to be talking about is Dark Souls. Now, there is a current series. I think they're up to issue 2 or 3 already for the Willow King, coming out. So there's a current Dark Souls comic book out right now. It's not bad if you want to go check it out. This is also based off of the video game, with which there have been 3 so far. You got Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3. I mean, the game has been out for years now. I mean, the production company has moved on to doing other projects. I think they did Elder Ring or whatever. I still haven't played it. I still haven't played Dark Souls. I tried, actually. I should say I tried Dark Souls. The first one, it was too hard for me. I'm just too old. My reflexes aren't what they used to be, so it was tough. Maybe one day I'll try them again, but for now, I couldn't hang. But with that said, in 2016, they did release a comic book adaptation for this property, and it was done by Titan Comics, and there are multiple covers on this thing. This is, I believe, the cover A, and then there are 3 other regular open order covers, along with, I think there's a blank. There was also some other variants that were released, from different places as well. So there are a lot of covers for this thing, but these are the 4 main ones that you would probably see just at any LCS without any sort of extra qualifications or anything like that. And with that said, these can all do pretty well. Different prices for all of them. Again, you saw the cover A. The video game one there in the middle was my favorite. I do remember getting that one just because based off of the game. But all the covers are pretty solid. And even if you find any of them for this issue 1, they all can get you a pretty decent return. You can see that video game cover sold for $30. The one with the flames about $20, and that cover A sold for $60, which is a bit of an outlier because if you look for what's available, that cover A is really only asking maybe $20 in a lot of cases, whereas the video game variant is more asking that $75 mark. So it seems to be the priciest one as far as asking prices go. And then you can see the flames there for $30, and then that the knight with the also another fiery background, also $35. So depending on the cover, you're talking anywhere from $20 to $35 up to $75. I don't know. It's not bad. Just something to go and keep an eye out for. You never know. I get it. It's hard to keep track of them. There are multiple covers, but it doesn't hurt to look, and it doesn't hurt to take a shot. There were some other volumes, other series that were released after this, along with the other issues following issue 1. But issue 1 seems to be the prize for this for this property. All right, so that was a quick one. Just some video game books that I wanted to talk about. I've had it on the to-do list for probably years now. Like my spreadsheet for my to-do list has had things that have been sitting there for quite some time. And with that, I'm going to try to clean some of that up by covering some of the stuff I've been meaning to forever. So let's see what else we got in the pile. Variants. You guys know I like talking about variants. Generally, I try to keep this section down to like B cover variants and lower incentive ratio variants. This week, I extended it just a little bit, and I went up with a couple of 1 in 25s. I'll admit it. I usually don't do that, but I did it this week. But before we get there, let's start with our regular old B cover variant. I don't know. I remember seeing somebody else post about this recently on Instagram. It was in my feed somewhere. I don't know who had it up there, but again, this has been on the list for a while for me to do. This is one of the Looney Tunes variant covers, so it was open order for most stores. But Catwoman 46, it's a Darwin Cook Catwoman Tweety Bird. It's pretty cool, and it does okay. It's not going to make you rich, but if you can find this and you find it for pretty cheap, you can see copy sold March 4th for only for $15. That's not too bad. And asking prices are kind of in that $20 range, $20 plus, and a 9.8 asking $180. So not bad for just an open order variant. Just saying. Something to keep an eye out for. So I had Darwin Cook on the brain. So I also decided to cover a 1 in 10 that frequently gets overlooked and forgotten about, because DC back in the day used to have a lot of 1 in 10s that just nobody talks about. They just kind of go under the radar. And one of those is Justice Society of America number 50. Darwin Cook cover, war cover, the salute. Awesome. This thing does all right. You can see here a copy sold, 5 bids for $33 back in December. Doesn't come up very often. This isn't the easiest thing to find either, but $30 doesn't seem like a lot. But considering they put it up for auction, which is once again something I don't suggest you do for any of these books. These are buy it now, accept best offer type of books, because auctions, you probably won't do that well because not that many people are aware. Case in point, $32.85 at auction on 5 bids, whereas asking prices $40, $50, $167. Grant that's a bit of an outlier, that raw 167, considering there's a 9.6 also looking for 110. But still, 40 to $50 ain't too bad. And yes, the 32 almost got there, which is surprising in and of itself, but I'm still probably better off doing with the best offer if you're a seller for one of these books. If you're a buyer, absolutely take advantage of those auctions where you can. Just bid up to whatever you're willing to pay. And then if you get outbid, you get outbid. No big deal. Just go as high as you're comfortable with, and then you can't lose. With that, the next book, this one is interesting because I like the cover, but this is not Darwin Cook. This is Bruce Timm, who can easily get confused with Darwin Cook. They have a similar art style, but this is a Bruce Timm cover for Silk Spectre number 4, the 1 in 25. But it sometimes gets credited to Darwin Cook because Darwin Cook wrote this story. Amanda Connor did the guts and the interiors here. And this, again, is a Bruce Timm cover, but you can sometimes see this listed as a Darwin Cook cover when it goes up for sale. Because as a Bruce Timm cover, it could fetch a pretty high price. So you might be able to sneak it a little cheaper if you get lucky, if they mislabel it. Just something to throw out there for you. Examples. Not a cheap book, as you can see here. 9.8, best offer on $800. Raw, best offer on $230. $175 best offer. And then somebody who mislabeled this one again as Darwin Cook, $163. So it didn't actually work in that case, but you never know. It's worth taking a shot. But you can see here, right there, they listed it as Darwin Cook cover. Granted, maybe they were listing it because he did write it, and maybe that's what they were giving credit for. But I kind of feel like they just, made a little bit of a typo there. With that said, you can see the one available copy out there is raw, and it's looking for $250. Not bad for 1 in 25. Again, I know I usually don't talk about 1 in 25s on the Hidden Gem show. I save those mostly for chasing ghosts, but I don't know. I just felt like doing it this week, so I did it anyway. Because I wanted to talk about this cover, because of the misconceptions sometime with the Bruce Timm and the Darwin Cook, and I also wanted to talk about this Darwin Cook cover because it is one of my favorites. Starfire, number 3, 1 in 25. Gorgeous cover. Cool. I love the palm trees. Reminds me of Jimmy Uso. This one does pretty well as well, too. You look at these prices. Copy sold, 7 bids. Again, they put it up for auction. But 7 bids still netted them $172. $172 at auction. Asking prices $130, $150, $150, $200 for this 1 in 25. This is not a cheap one. This is a fun one if you can get out there and find it. I was luckily gifted one of these by one of you viewers. Thank you. And you know who you are. And again, I appreciate it. It's for my PC. Not selling it. I'm not going to try to list it to get this. I wanted it for myself. So thank you. With that, that was the little variant segment that I wanted to cover. Moving on, let's go and talk a little bit about some later prints. I still like covering these. I still like collecting these. I hem and haw and yell and complain about the incentive 1 in 25s on second and third prints because I don't like them. I don't like the idea of incentivizing the later print market. I like collecting later prints. They're what they are. But you also got to know they aren't first prints. So I just like collecting because they're different. Sometimes they are harder to find, but just because they're harder to find doesn't automatically mean they are valuable. But a lot of times they can be. Here's an example of a valuable second print. First print's like a $5 to $10 book. And sticking with Starfire, I'm talking about Starfire #1. So this is the first issue of that same series that we did the Darwin Quick variant on. But this is issue 1, Amanda Connor cover. Is the purple cover, is the cover A. The second print is the white cover. That's the reprint. And that one, well, there are none sold recently, but the copies available, one's looking for $170, and yet one's looking for only $10 out of Canada. Kind of crazy, right? It's quite the difference there in price. Where does this one actually fall? We don't know. Or I don't know, at least right now, because the market's not telling me because there are no recent prices. Granted, I could go back and find like the last sale, but if it's more than 3 months ago, how relevant is it at this point? Point being, if you can find one, I would just grab it because there is potential there for this book. Now, with that said, I just wanted to talk about that Starfire book, and then I have a pile of other second prints that I kind of wanted to cover separately. So that's what we're going to do now. And those are the Spawn second prints, because some of these, well, later prints, I should say, not just second prints. These are later printings, but some of these can be quite pricey. Even the regular back issues of Spawn can be quite pricey. But here we have issue 166. The first print is the smaller cover there on the side with all the cockroaches climbing all over Spawn's face. That's the first print. And then the second printing is the more the beige kind of aged kind of looking cover there in the middle. Now, both of these can be a little pricey just because of the run. 166, that was a time when Spawn wasn't the most popular character out there, and the print runs were not that high. But still, some of these prices are pretty high. As you can see, sales of $120 to $140 for the second print. Let me repeat that. Those are actual sales for $120 and $140 for this second print, of this issue. Now, asking prices, well, there's one for 100, 120, 130, a 9.6 looking for $300. So as you can see, this is a pricey, later printing. One well worth knowing, just in case you stumble across it. And again, when I talk about these books, I don't know how they're going to be priced wherever you're looking, wherever you're hunting, across the country, in other countries, over in the UK, down in Australia, wherever you are buying your books. I don't know what you might find. So I'm giving you these prices so you have some of a sense of where the market is and could be. So depending on how your shop has it priced, you make that call for yourself. So if a shop has this and it's like $20, you see the potential of what that $20 purchase can be. Even though you might have paused for a second, say $20 for a random issue of Spawn, and it's a second print. Why would I want to pay $20 for that? Well, because it could be worth over 100. That's why I tell you. And that's why I like to do this. It's not for my benefit. I mean, why would I want to create competition telling you all about the books that I'm looking for? I just try to be helpful. So good luck, and hopefully you guys can find some of these books. Another issue to keep an eye out for with the second printing is this one, 185, which you can see is very close to the first print. The first print to 185. Now, granted, this is a pretty popular time. This is when Al Simmons had died in the issue. There's like a headless cover and all that. But the regular cover A version is there on the side, smaller. And then you can see the reworked second print. Doesn't have a lot of difference to it, but it is slightly different, a little bit brighter. And you can see it does say second printing up here underneath the issue number. So with that, this one, again, it's a kind of a popular issue, but that's why it went to second print. This one does all right. Great, not going to break the bank like the last one. This is more of a $30 to $40 book, as you can see with some recent sales. Asking prices, about 40 to 50, and then you got a 9.6 looking for 110, and then there's a 9.8 looking for only 137.50, which isn't that bad when you compare it to that 110 for 9.6. So, just saying. But second print, worth knowing. The next issue is also one to keep an eye out for, and this one is also pretty popular. The first print is the red. The second print there is the greenish background cover. One of these recently sold on a best offer of $200. They accepted $150 for the second print. So $150 for this second printing if you could find one. Asking prices. All of these are raw. $205, $170, $200 for raw copies of this second print. Some crazy prices. And again, it's just a book to worth knowing. I'm not saying you're going to find it. It's not like these are everywhere and it's going to be easy, but that's why I want to show it to you. So in case you see it, you know what this is, and you can go, "Oh, I remember that green cover. Why do I remember that green cover?" And hopefully you connect the dots in your brain, your mental Rolodex. You can go, "Oh yeah, that's that Spawn second print for 186, and it's worth a couple $100 potentially. I wonder what they're asking for it." And then you go find out. All right, those go back a little bit of a ways. Let's jump ahead 100 plus issues. Let's go to the more recent, because you might be able to find these. You go to stores, go digging in their back issue boxes. This is stuff you might be able to find a little easier than, say, this 186, which was from back in, I don't even know. Do I have a year listed there? No, I don't see it. Again, it was ages ago. But Spawn 300, meanwhile, wasn't that long ago. So Spawn 300, as you can see, there was many covers for this, obviously. Anniversary issues for Spawn, a lot of covers, a lot of different variants. This is an homage, obviously, to ASM 300. Yes, we've seen it many, many times. Todd doing himself. Yeah, that's what I said. Issue 300, the first print is the full colored version there on the side. That's smaller. The fourth printing is the partially black and white version. This is a fourth printing, mind you. So, what could a fourth printing net you? Well, if you dig one of these out of a box, you're looking at anywhere from $35 to $60 for recent sales. All of those were, it looks like they were at auction too. Oh no, the $60 is buy it now. Asking prices for this issue though, $70, $90, $70, $190 for a 9/8. Not bad for a fourth print. Now, the first printing had the cover. The second print was actually a different cover. But while we're here, let's look at the third print, which was also this same cover, but it was recolored green with the background. So you can see the difference between the first and the third. And now you know the difference between the third and the fourth. But the third also does all right, as you can see here by these prices. $70 raw, and then some best offers, getting what, $40 and $55. Not too bad for a third printing, right? Asking prices, however, look, it's one that's only at the $10. Well, it's at auction. It still has days to go. We'll see where it ends, but $10. Buy it now as though we're looking for $80, $115. And then there is a third print that's that's actually a 9/8 that's only looking for $100. So I don't know why you would pay $80 or even $115 raw when you can just get that 9/8 for $100. That's if you're a graded collector. I know a lot of people don't like to buy graded books at all, and they don't collect them at all because they want comics to be open, to be read, to be touched, all that. I get it. Collect how you want to collect. I'm just pointing out the fact that, like it or not, slab copies usually come with a premium price. That said, let's move on to the next Spawn book, which is the next issue, which, just like he did on ASM, he did the same cover again. They just changed the background. So let's just do that. Spawn 301, Guinness record. Yeah, I forgot. Passing as the longest running independent series or whatever I think it was, because Cerebus ended. Anyway, 301. There you go. First printing version was the color version, and black and white is the third printing here. Just like on 301, they went with a white background. The difference between ASM 300 and 301, though, is you had the black suit Spidey with all the crazy 300s, and then you went to a white background with the red and blue suit Spidey. So at least there was a change. This is still just putting the same damn Spawn image, just with a different background. So they basically did the same issue again. Laziness. Anyway, this one still does okay too. $47. Some buy it now is accepting $30 to $57 on this third print. Asking prices, there's a raw up for $90, and then there's a CGC SS signed by Todd McFarlane, 9/8 looking for $525. That's a pretty steep price there, Nordberg. But hey, yeah, I can see the Todd signed right there under Spawn. So it is kind of cool if you can get a signed one. Again, I don't think he's the hardest signature to get, but go for it. And with that said, that's my later print segment for today, which is going to bring us into one more section before we call it a day. And we are going to cover reprints. Now, I know what you're going to say. What's the difference? Well, the difference here is with the later printings, you saw that sometimes they had covers, cover changers, and all of that. They're later printings of a book. These are going to be straight up reprint editions of past issues. So Marvel did that a few times, even created whole new runs of series where they were technically reprints of those original Marvel Avengers books, Fantastic Four, etc., like those Marvel actions, the super actions, triple actions, all that stuff. Now, that's not what we're doing today. Today, we're going into another little side niche of collecting with these reprints, and these are going to be the J.C. Penney reprints. What are J.C. Penney reprints, you might ask? Well, in the 90s, J.C. Penney, for whatever reason, I guess they worked out a deal with Marvel to reprint some of these classic Marvel issues, and they bagged them up and sold them in their catalogs and stuff. I don't know, but that's what happened. So some of these issues that were sold in these packs and these catalogs, they found their way out there, and they have a different level of collectability because they are second prints in a lot of cases and reprints of books that didn't have reprints at the time. This is before Marvel started doing their facsimiles and their true believers, etc. So these are going to be some of the books that are kind of unique in that way that they don't have, at least at the time, they didn't have other copies available. First book, as an example, Uncanny X-Men 268, classic Jim Lee cover. I love this cover. This was my era. I love this era of Jim Lee, and I remember I like this story. Granted, they tried to redo it recently, and it didn't quite hit. Waited a little too long, but whatever. Pretty cool cover. I remember this. This used to be valuable back in the day. It's maintained a value throughout the years just by being an awesome cover. Issue 268. Yes, we recently had a facsimile reprint that I think had a foil edition even, etc. That's what we're talking about. But back in, I think, like 94, I want to say it was around 94. The first print you can see was the Spidey head. That was the initial issue. The reprints that came through J.C. Penney, a lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them, the easiest way to identify them is that they might have the 30th anniversary Spidey sticker there, the 1992 sticker. I thought it was 94, but anyway, they got the 30th anniversary Spidey sticker down there in the corner as opposed to the Spidey head. So the first print has the head, and the second print, J.C. Penney reprint, has the 1992 little thing there. That's the quick way to identify this particular issue. That's not the case for all of these. Not all of them have something we can look at on the front. Some of these we're going to have to look at the backs to know the difference. But that's your quick way to tell the difference between the first and the second print J.C. Penney reprint here. Now, what does the J.C. Penney reprint do for this book? Well, that's all right. $25, up to $70 raw. Asking prices, well, there's a 9.2 at auction. There was only $25. We still had a little bit of time left. Don't know where that one ended, but you can look at a 9.8. It's asking $800. And then there was a raw one listed that was asking $200. There are not a lot of them out there. And it's sometimes they're not even identified properly. So some of these you might not even know that you are actually looking at the J.C. Penney reprint unless you know the difference. So just look for that Spidey 30th anniversary, and maybe you can sneak one of these. Just saying, if you want to collect this kind of weird little, little niche. Not saying this one's better than having the first print. I would also prefer to have the first print, but it's a fun little extra to go and hunt down is all. Now, another one of these. Again, this is a different time. We can go back here with Captain America facing off with the Punisher. Captain America 241. You can see here again. The original first print is the smaller one I have on the screen that has the barcode where you might get the newsstand. That's the barcode. And then the barcode with the little # is the direct edition. But the J.C. Penney reprint, again, has that little Spidey in the box instead. So again, another quick and easy way to tell the difference between the first print of this 241 and the second print for this 241. What does this one do? Well, it does all right. Yeah, copies can sell for cheap at $5 at auction because people don't know what they're looking at or know what they're looking for. But other times you can see it normally sells around $20, $25, $30. Asking prices, well, could be as cheap as $10 and also condition sensitive. Some of these might be a little banged up. Cheap as $10, $27, as high as $75. Those are asks. Not saying that's what it's worth. That's what other people are asking. So again, you make the call if you can stumble into one of these or if you want to go and find and collect these things. Now, both of those, you could see the Spidey down in the box gave you the heads up what you're looking at. Here's the tougher one. So, the next issue we're going to look at is Submariner number 8. They look exactly the same. So, how are you to know the difference? Well, for this one, unfortunately, the only way to know the difference is to take it out of the bag and board or hope the person, if you're buying online, has a picture of the back, because the backs will be different. Because first print will show you this old school people who like to draw by, it says Norman Rockwell backing. That's on the normal book, because Stridex, I don't believe, was around back when this issue first came out. So the Stridex back is the J.C. Penney reprint. So that's how you tell this particular one about the Stridex. So you might have to take it out of the bag and board to know. What does this one do? Well, once again, you could be all over the place. Copies could be as cheap as $12 to $14. They could go up $30 to $35. Asking prices kind of in that same ballpark, 30, 35, 35. 9.6 CBCS is looking for 70. So, again, you're not going to get rich, but it's kind of a fun little thing to go and find and go and hunt. Just like our final issue that we're going to talk about today and our final example. Granted, there's more of these. There's a whole pile of these. I don't know if there's an ultimate list or anything like that available, but I'm sure somebody's got it out there. But this is another one I thought was worth talking about, knowing, because it's Adam Warlock, right? The power of him. So, Fantastic Four 67. You can't, once again, you look at the front, you're not going to be able to tell much of a difference. Granted, Fantastic Four 67, this is a 12 center. This came out quite a while ago. So, if the cover looks really, really nice, there's a good chance you're looking at the J.C. Penney reprint. But again, the way to know is take it out of that bag, flip it over, and yeah. They're not talking about the boys, girls, men, and women. And we see Stridex. Stridex is the J.C. Penney reprint. So that's how you tell the difference. And with that, there's going to be a difference of price. The second J.C. Penney reprint's not going to be anywhere close to the regular edition, as you know. One of the debated first appearances of him, Adam Warlock. But still, copies can go at auction for as cheap as $10. Or you can see best offer $55 raw for the J.C. Penney reprint. And then $150 somebody got for a graded copy. 9.6, it looks like. Got $150. Not too bad. Asking prices currently as cheap as 20. You can go up to 40. You can see it's listed there with issue 66 as well. Both J.C. Penney reprints. And then you got $64 from my comic shop for a fine, very fine version of the J.C. Penney reprint. And then another 9. Is that the same 9.6? No, it just happens. No, that's a CBCS. So a CBCS 9.6 of this issue, also looking for only $70. So there you go. Just weird little things. Thought you might find that interesting. Things you can go out there and hunt and maybe find in boxes. Yeah, I'm going to try to mix up some more of these original style hidden gems and maybe do another last to know here or there as I do my rotation with Chasing Ghosts. I'll try to lay off some of the newer shows for a little while and stick with the stuff that you guys have come to let me know in the comments. Because again, let me know in the comments which ones you want to see. And I've been hearing a lot of wanting to see more hidden gems and wanting to see more Chasing Ghosts. So that's what I will do more of. But I will still find time to bring out trade secrets and talk about those trade paperbacks every once in a while. The toy stuff, because I still love talking about the toy stuff. And bargain hunters and any other weird little show that I decide that I want to throw out there. I know it's been a while since we've done one of those Kickstarter shows too. But we'll get around to it, right? But for now, hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully you found this interesting. Hopefully I told you about a few books that you might not have known about, or hopefully I reminded you about some books that you just forgotten about, and give you some stuff to go and flip through those boxes at your LCS and see what you can find. And with that said, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure you come back tomorrow for the tax show. I think we'll be getting back to our fantasy comic portfolio and get some updates there, looking at some of those old Hot 10 books and whether we want to buy or sell them now. Just some fun little stuff here we do on the channel. And with that all said, I'll be back with some more content soon. All right.